Yes, people, another stream for you guys. Tottenham against Chelsea preview. I'm joined here with Adz, as always, regular guest. How you doing, my bro?
I'm all good, bro. Another day, another stream, fam.
Stream for you guys. Okay, I can hear myself, man. Someone's in the background, but it's calm. Listen, we've got a special guest today, BlueLionsTV. Probably about 2 years since you come on the channel, G. About time. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, man. I'm very excited to come on talk football with you guys. So yeah, man. Obviously, thanks for having me on.
Perfect. Guys, everyone that's tuned in, if you guys can, smash the like button, subscribe for new here, hit the notification, and make sure you subscribe to Blue Lions TV in the description right now. He just uploaded 3 videos today, in fact, so go support him as well. But look, Adz, we'll start with you very, very quickly. Feeling confident for the game?
Yeah, man. I'm quietly confident, but I've been saying on the streams 2-1 Chelsea, so I'm going to stick with that prediction. But as far as the game, you know it's a London derby. You know how serious the Tottenham players especially take this game. They know that we got a way better record than the likes of Arsenal and them. So they take this one a lot more seriously than Arsenal in any other game. They will be up for it despite their poor run of form. So we can't write them off completely despite the form that they've been in, because not too long ago we were in similar form as them. So it's still going to be a difficult game, and yeah, we're going to have to. It's a big game for the 3 points though. Like, top 6 this season, we've been terrible. We've been terrible in the top 6 games. We've only scored 2 goals, haven't got a win yet. The only big game we won this season is Sevilla, 4-0 away. But even then, both teams chopped and changed, because we're both through of that group already. So yeah, man, it's a big game for both of us. We can't write them off, but we've got to be positive and go for the win, man.
Definitely, man. Nini, how are you feeling for the game, bro?
Obviously, I think this is a big opportunity for Tuchel to, make a big statement. Obviously, London derby, getting a win. Obviously, I feel like maybe Tuchel could be like a little bit of a surprise in the sense that it's not like Mourinho has much reference from when it comes to like finding the right system or tactics to use against us. And I feel like Tuchel's been playing things close to his cards, and knowing someone like him, that for example, that first game against Wolves, he knew about the lineup he was going to use a long time before he signed for us. So I'm sure, like meticulous Tuchel, he knows exactly what the plans are going to be for tomorrow. And I think there could even be more surprises. So yeah, I do feel like the team's in good form. They're feeling confident, spirits are high. I think now's the perfect time to make that statement win tomorrow.
Definitely. Just very quickly, what's your expectation for the rest of the season? Are you expecting top 4 still with this manager?
For the Chelsea Football Club, it's got to be top 4. Obviously, we signed a big boy manager in Tuchel as well. So I do feel like that's something that can happen. And the fact that we've got a full-strength team, which has rarely happened these past 18 months, is another big deal.
For sure. I mean, very quickly, what are your predictions for the game, Adz? You said 2-1, right?
Yeah. I'll stick with 2-1. Yeah, 2-1.
2-1. And Nini?
I'm going for 2-0.
Clean sheet.
I'm feeling ambitious, I think if we get that statement win, obviously he needs to keep a clean sheet for something like that.
Well, that's a big statement. I'm going for 2-1 as well, for sure. Adz, very quickly, what's the formation you want to see tomorrow?
I'll stick with the same, man. I mean, it's all that Tuchel's worked with us so far, and we've seen that it's worked. So I don't think you do a trial and error and work with another system in a big game like this. I think you stick with what the players have got a bit used to in the last couple of games and just don't change it, because we've clearly performed well in it. It fits a lot of our players perfectly. You look at your Rudigers, you look at your azpiliecuetas, you look at Cho now. This system fits them perfectly. So I wouldn't change it for the big game. I'll just keep it as it is. Have a couple of slight worries with the formation, but depending on who plays, if Kante can get back in the team, I'll be a lot more confident. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, I'll stick with how it is so far.
100%. Nini, what's your formation take as well? Obviously, I haven't seen your video fully yet. It just came out. But yeah, tell me what you're expecting to see.
To be honest, I've been finding it quite hard to guess what Tuchel could be doing. I think obviously full strength team, a manager like Tuchel, even looking at his time at Paris Saint-Germain, I think he used over 10 different formations. You know what I mean? So he really just goes by picking the best lineup against the team tomorrow. And I'm guessing maybe Spurs going to keep using 3-4-3 is what I'm feeling. So then I'm guessing Tuchel's going to think about what's their weak areas. Maybe he might be thinking either pack the midfields or maybe try and just overload the wide areas. So I don't know. A part of me feels like maybe back 3, continue with that. But is it going to be like a 3-4-3? Is it going to be 3-4-1-2, 2-1. Like, there's so many different ways that he uses it. So I don't know. I feel like what you guys are saying, like back three for that consistency so far, obviously probably going to be the same defenders.
Yep.
Maybe when it gets to the wing back area, who knows? It could be 3-4-3. What if we see Reece wing back, Hudson-Odoi as a winger too? Obviously 2 form players. And then maybe Kante, you know, Ndombele is a serious player, big form. You know, you need to have Kante in that midfield. And I'm guessing Makova, who's been showing form under Tuchel as well, that could be like a mid-2. And I'm guessing, obviously, I just think maybe Alonso maybe can't play tomorrow because, you know, they got pace that Spurs attack. And obviously, you know, Alonso, how many times, I mean, even this season, West Brom, we saw him getting done, playing as a wing back in his best preferred way, you know what I mean? So I feel like Ben was rested for a reason, I guess. And then up front, it gets hard, you know. Obviously, we've got Ziyech back. I always felt you have to start Ziyech for me because he's just like a serious player, you know what I mean? Could we see Werner, Mount? Yeah, I think maybe Werner, Ziyech, and Mason Mount could complete that front three.
I was a bit surprised. Hackens it. We'll get into it, of course. Just very quickly on the wings. Let's talk about the wings. Nini said no Marcos Alonso. Adz, where are we going to put Hudson-Odoi? Is Reece James going to be playing, or does Ben Chilwell come back in as well?
Yeah, man, this is what I've been thinking about, to be honest. But if I were to decide, I would personally go with Reece James at right wing back. Then I'd play Chilwell at left wing back because obviously we want these right wing backs attacking the pitch, going up. And you know, with Alonso's recovery pace, it's non-existent. Second of all, he doesn't have match sharpness. He played against Burnley, but is that really the Marcos Alonso? Is that really the Marcos Alonso that we know? I don't think it was. He didn't do nothing in particular which was good. He wasn't amazing going forward. He picked up a couple of decent positions, but still a bit sluggish on the ball, still a bit slow. He didn't really have anything to defend against, so it's difficult to test him. So I wouldn't throw him in such a big game, high intensity game. I wouldn't throw him in for it. But yeah, like I was saying, I'll go Reece James at right wing back just in case. What if Son decides to pull out wide, and then we have the left wing back pushed up as well? We could be in a real predicament. So yeah, I would go Chilwell and Reece James. Obviously, we still want at least one of the wing backs going forward. So then, if Reece James is pushing up like we like him to, putting in the crosses, etc., then we can shift into a back four, maybe one of the wing back attacks at a time or something. Yeah, but Hudson-Odoi, I'd rather see him on the wing. Obviously, he hasn't had too much of a defensive test so far. He's been called upon in those positions, he's done well. But obviously, we're playing against 2 low block teams. He hasn't had nothing really to defend. He's been all right on transitioning from attack to defense, but other than that, he hasn't really been tested. And when you're playing against this top caliber player, it's going to be a way harder test. So he's never been put into that sort of scenario. So I'm not sure tomorrow, with the importance of getting the 3 points, I'm not sure that would be best. But we know Reece James, like I was saying on the stream yesterday, he's been one of our best and most consistent players this season. So I think there's no doubts in my head that him going in there right wing back tomorrow, he'll have no issues there, man. He can deal with the problems that he faces from Tottenham. And I think that would be the best. And let Hudson-Odoi just do what he wants and attack Ben Davies for 90 minutes and give him a nightmare. Just leave him up front.
So are you saying you definitely don't want Hudson-Odoi near the top, like near the striker?
No, I want Hudson-Odoi. I want Hudson-Odoi in the front three. I want Hudson-Odoi
front three.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want Hudson-Odoi to express himself tomorrow. Just keep running at Ben Davies. We know Ben Davies isn't anywhere near a top 6 left back, so he can have a go at him all night and work his magic. Yeah,
good words on Marcos Alonso. He hasn't been playing for like 4 months. He just played his first game recently. Nini, what's your take on the wings? Who do you want to see in the wings tomorrow?
Yeah, I agree with Adz. You know, for me, you know, a game like Spurs, we have to see maybe Reece James and Ben because you need to deal with their pace. You need defenders comfortable 1v1-2, and we can bring that quality wide. And I'm even thinking like a 3-4-3. Imagine you've got like Aspi, Reece James, Hudson-Odoi on the right hand side. That's a very strong right hand side to have against Spurs, you know what I mean? And I just think that if you've got Kante as that midfield player too, helping defend the wide areas where, you know, if Spurs continue to use 3-4-3, the game's going to be played down the flanks. So I feel like we could probably edge it that way. And then we've got options on the bench that like change the entire complexion of the game as it goes on. But I don't know. I feel like, you know, it was smart management in hindsight, Tuchel using Alonso in the game versus Burnley because Burnley got no pace. You know what I mean? Like they had no counter-attacking threat. They were just putting in crosses from very deep. And that's all Alonso had to be in the team for was aerial ability, which I didn't really agree with from Tuchel because obviously Ben's very good in the air too. He's like one of the best like aerial fullbacks in the league. So I don't know. I think it was more a case of not trying to give too much away. You know what I mean? Thinking about the games ahead. I think maybe that's one thing Tuchel's proven already, is that he really thinks everything ahead and has a plan and prep for that.
Yeah, also, if I could just add something, I have a feeling that tomorrow, another reason why I wouldn't want Hudson-Odoi playing at the right wing back role is because obviously you need a lot of discipline to know when to go forward, you know when to stay back. You don't just keep bombing on forward and then getting caught in the transition. So I have a feeling that tomorrow Jose might actually put Son either in between that channel of central centre back and right centre back Azpi, or in between Reece James and Azpi, because similarly to what Aubameyang was doing to Azpi all day. You see when Kieran Tierney just picked up the ball, bang, one ball over the top off the shoulder of Azpiliecueta. He was given a night where that gave away a penalty. So I think Mourinho is going to set up with whatever we set up with a three at the back, and then he's going to have Son playing in between those channels. And if we have Hudson-Odoi supporting Azpi there, he might not have the defensive awareness to pick up the right positions and help Azpi when he needs. So I think Reece James would bring us a lot more solidity and make our defense a lot stronger against Son.
I understand what you're saying about that, but you know, when you look at Tottenham, no Harry Kane, most likely not going to be featuring. I feel like how they usually play won't be as effective when you see Son through the middle. You know, people want Kante in that midfield. Should we be that worried though? Just because Son's in the middle, realistically, I just don't feel like they're going to have the ball as much.
He's going to play Son on the left. Like I was saying, I think he's going to play him off Azpiliecueta, because we know Tottenham have exposed Azpiliecueta before. We've seen it happen, especially when they've set up in a similar formation to us under Conte. We saw how they exposed Dele Alli versus Azpi back in the day with those two headers. They exposed him with the height, then Arsenal exposed him with the pace. I mean, he can be got at. We know that he's past his best years. So I think if Son will be playing on the shoulder of Azpi, and every time the defenders pick up the ball, he'll just be making movement. And we know what he's about. He's a player that gets in behind, and he's got world-class finishing. He rarely misses a one-on-one. So I think that's what they're going to go with. So I think it's better to have Reece James the defensive support rather than Hudson-Odoi.
Cool. Nini, just in the midfield, you were saying Kante, Kovacic, right?
Yeah, I feel like obviously against Spurs, Ndombele is very in form right now. And I do feel like if we lost the midfield battle, that could go to affect us as the game goes on. And I just think in big games, there's a reason why Kante is your guy in those games. He doesn't really let you down at all. And we just need someone that can combat against Ndombele in that sense. And, you know, Kante is not just about covering spaces and working hard. It's got the quality on the ball as well. And I feel like it's one of those games where Tuchel himself said about Jorginho, you know, he's great on the ball, great short passing. He can, great awareness, but it's the physicality aspect that can let him down. And we know that Spurs were a very physical team under Mourinho. And I think if Jorginho's there, if he's not protected by at least two other guys around him, then potentially, you're getting done in the transition. And against Spurs, the last thing that you want to do is get done on counter-attacks in the transition, because they're a team in these types of games where they'll be happy to, soak up pressure, defend. But they have guys like Son. They got finishers that can kill the game if you make mistakes, as we've seen over the past 18 months.
Yeah,
for sure. So you have Kante, Kovacic in the midfield, and then in front you said Mount and Ziyech, right?
Now, you know what? It's even saying it now. I'm crossed between like two mans. One man is a 3-4-3 where Hudson can go really wide and just really, if you've got like Reece and Azpi behind him, Callum can really just stretch Spurs even more like that. But at the same time, there's a possibility could Tuchel do what he did against Wolves and maybe go for like Mount, who looked very good against Burnley, and maybe go for Ziyech, who's like fully fit again.
Yeah,
this is where it gets difficult. We're not even talking about players like Havertz and co. So it's a mad situation for Tuchel to be in, to just find like the best team at the best moments.
For sure. I mean, it's good to have all those options for sure. Adz, who do you see playing in front? Obviously, you said Hudson-Odoi up there. Who else are we going to see up top with him?
Yeah, that's the difficult one. For me, it could be any of them. It could be Ziyech to allow Hudson-Odoi to play on the left where he looks most dangerous, cutting inside on his right foot, getting shots off, beating his man. He can go inside or out and putting a cross by the byline. You see, with Hudson-Odoi, obviously, he's not as comfortable as cutting in on his left foot and shooting. So you see him on the right more time, he'll be running down the wing, beating his man and putting crosses in. But he gives you a different dimension when he's cutting in off the left. So I'll definitely play Hudson-Odoi either side. He has to play either side. It doesn't matter for me. He's definitely one that has to play. On the other, it depends. It depends what we're looking for, man. Are we trying to counter attack? Are we trying to put the pressure on them? It depends. Is Reece James going to be overlapping and making those runs in behind? Because if he is, that's the type of play that you need Ziyech for. You want Ziyech and him to combine like they have been the whole season. You want them to be combining down that right side. You see it against Wolves when Hudson-Odoi was constantly making those darts in behind. That's where we'll get most of our joy. So if you want to be playing like that, then I would say play Ziyech. But if we're just going to play counter attack, then we want Pulisic, someone that can come deep to collect the ball. He can drive for 50 yards carrying the ball, then lay it off to a teammate. I mean, it just depends on how we're going to set up. For me, I would personally, if we were ever going to give Tottenham a go and go at it, it would be tomorrow, wouldn't it? Because they've been bad recently. And in the other hand, also, they're probably going to set up defensively. So I would play Ziyech.
Have the ball. Yeah, we should have the ball for sure.
Yeah. I'd play Ziyech.
We should be attacking them for sure. They probably just get us on the counter a few times, playing behind a couple times. But the interesting one is the striker, man. Who's going to be playing up top, Nini, man? Like, I can't tell you whether it's going to be Giroud, Tammy, or Werner. It's difficult.
Yeah, like, as has he been just like dropping all this nolly, man, like for real. We've got a squad that can cater towards different styles of play. Like, obviously, you were talking about Pulisic and that. I always feel like he's better when he has space and he can like play on the counter attack. As we saw that second half of last season, that's when he really came to life and really showed what he's about. So this is what I mean. It comes down to guessing what the approach is going to be. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, knowing Mourinho, he'll be more likely to want to defend to keep things safe, especially with a bad run of form. So is Tuchel thinking, okay, I need to have guys in these areas that can really influence the play and dictate it and make something happen. But I don't know. It's weird because like you kind of have to think about what the game plan is going to be, to think about what the lineup of formation is going to be, to think about who the striker is going to be. Because again, we kind of got three strikers that can kind of fit different roles. You know what? Obviously, this is a tangent because I mean it's hard to guess. It's hard to guess. I mean, Werner, can he really play up front like that? I put him up front in my video, but as we saw against Burnley, he was starting like in behind. You know what I mean? More down the left side channel. So could Tuchel potentially be doing something similar like that again? Who knows? But then at the same time as Werner's form like that, where you can really rely upon him to do a role right now against Tottenham. I don't know. I feel like maybe the safe option could be Tammy. This is a safe option. And then you see how the game goes on. You can bring on Werner. But you know what? I think an option that I would like to see just once this season, would be Kai Havertz as a false nine. Because obviously he can do that. He's been bagging the goals in before. And you know what? We know that Kai is sick and going in the books. Like, I feel like he'd be perfect for playing that false nine type of role. You know what I mean? Let's say he's playing up front. You've got runners in behind him, like maybe like a Werner could play on the left side, Mount even. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like the safe option is just Tammy, to be honest. But it's safe option.
What do you think adds false nine, Kai Havertz? I was literally going to ask you guys straight after that as well.
Yeah, you know my thoughts on Havertz, man. Obviously, this season, he hasn't performed to what we expected, but we're going to give him time. He's been out of position. He's had COVID, whatnot. But at the end of the day, we've got to judge him and critique him for what we've seen on the pitch and not taking other variables. So he hasn't been good enough. Against Wolves, he had a bit of vim into his play. He had it. You saw the minimum of what we want to see from Kai Havertz every single game. But I've told you before, my main problem with him is that he's too lackluster on the ball, too lethargic, takes too long to move it, doesn't get in his stride quick enough. You know what I'm saying? These are all the problems. These are the problems that we shouldn't be seeing from a player. But at the end of the day, we saw Tuchel get better of him against Wolves. So hopefully he can carry on with this boost of confidence. I think false nine could definitely be a good position for him because he's good technically, he can link up the play, he's got good movement. Kai Havertz's problem hasn't been finishing this season. He's barely had any chances. But I think if you do get him in those positions, we've seen what he can do in Germany, and he'd have no problem with tucking him away. But as for tomorrow, obviously he has his injury problem or whatever. So you know me, man. I think I said Werner before in a previous stream, but after thinking about it, I think the safest option would be Tammy because at the end of the day, Werner has not been good enough this season. His ABCs of football haven't been on point. He can't pass. His close control is not there. His dribbling is not there. His movement, he's coming deep to collect the ball. He's coming to the halfway line to collect the ball. And that's not where we want to see Werner on the ball at all. I mean, I saw a tweet after the Tottenham 0-0 game that we had early on in the season. And there's a picture of where or a video of where Timo Werner was collecting the ball, and this was perfect for where Mourinho wanted him. We want Mourinho, like I said, we need to play Werner as like a Jamie Vardy type player. I want to see him on the.
But why does he come deep though? Why does he come deep? I've seen him make bare runs and no one picks him out. No one takes the risk.
Yeah, I agree with you. The players do have to make these passes as well. But I think since Tuchel has got in, the movement off the ball as a collective has been a lot better, and we have been playing these passes a bit more. Obviously, it's 2 games. We can't really judge or say anything a bit mad over 2 games, but it has been looking better. So Werner, he needs to play on the last line of defense. He has to constantly be on the shoulder. Whenever he sees a player pick it up, I want him spinning. I want him to spin and run. I don't want to see him coming to collect the ball because even his close control, his passing, it's not there. His first touch is not there. And as a Chelsea footballer, you need these kind of things, you know what I'm saying? And you don't want these kind of things to let you down in a big game like Spurs. But then also with Giroud, you know my thoughts on Giroud. I think he's an effective striker in the box. He's got a striker's instinct. He's good at finishing from tight angles, and he's good at linking up play in the box. But like I said, he doesn't press. He doesn't run the channels. He can't create space for other teammates. He doesn't pin his man. He doesn't really hold his man. I don't think his link-up play is amazing. We saw it. I think it was a lot better than it is now. We saw him against Wolves collecting the ball to feet. He was passing it back to the opposition. I think his movement's poor as well. So I think you've got to go for the best in between both. Tammy will give you movement off the ball. He'll come deep. He'll press. He'll run the channels and create spaces for the likes of Ziyech and Hudson-Odoi. So I think if you want to go for the safe option, you've got to go for the best between the 2 strikers that can give you a bit of both. So I'd go for Tammy to start up front, definitely.
Nini, just very quickly, me, Adz, a couple others been talking about this topic, Tammy against Giroud, who's better, and he's supporting Tammy a lot. He's saying Tammy's the better striker than Giroud right now. I want to know your thoughts and why.
Obviously, it's hard to answer it like in a black and white way. All I can say is maybe Tammy might be better for the team, but obviously maybe Giroud is the better striker, the better finisher.
Yeah, that was more of my argument, to be honest, because I've spoke about how I think Tammy is way more of a modern day striker and how you need to have a lot more things to your game right now than being a clinical striker with a striker's instinct. So I think if you're talking about who fits our system the best, maybe like I said to you before, Sadiq, he's not like clear the better player or anything like that. There's both abilities, but I think if you're talking about who fits the system the best, I'd definitely go for Tammy.
Obviously, a lot younger as well, and he's going to improve every single year, hopefully. Giroud's probably off at the end of the season. Nini, just very quickly, your thoughts on like Billy Gilmour, Kepa, the situation at Chelsea for the squad depth. Do you think they're going to be getting chances, or do you expect some of these players not to feature anymore?
Obviously, after what Tuchel was saying in his press conference today, he was and what he's been saying in general has been of high praise of a lot of these guys. Obviously, he told Gilmour that he'd like him to stay, and obviously, when the manager's saying that, he must be considering using him. So, I don't know. Of course, we still got like these congested periods still to come. Now, once the Spurs game's over, we got like a few weeks off in a sense where you got time in between until then the fixture pylon comes on again straight afterwards. So yeah, I feel like they're going to get their moments. I don't think he's going to play as much, of course. I mean, who knows if he's really impressed in training. I mean, anything can happen, but it feels like maybe he's going to be used for like in a backup style role in that sense. And with Kepa, I think Kepa's an interesting one because can you really afford to give him the game time to even try and boost his value? I mean, yeah, we're in a situation in the season now where we need to get results. We need to climb up the table. We need to get a top 4 finish because with stuff like FFP at this club, we cannot. No big club can afford to miss out on UCL football. That would be an absolute nightmare. So that's what I mean. There's definitely pressure on Tuchel's hands, and I think that's maybe why he's relied upon more like experience lineups. Because sometimes with experience, it's not even about the quality. It's just that they know how to like handle themselves in certain pressurized moments. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of rely upon them to be able to maintain their consistency.
Yeah.
Even though, which is funny because we've seen like maybe some of these older guys maybe mess up over the past 18 months too, on the other hand. But I don't know, I think Tuchel, I've seen his defensive structure, his setup, it feels like it's definitely about climbing up the table, getting them wins, getting them points. And I really feel if he stays here, which I think he will, because he's a good manager, come pre-season, he's fully working with these guys, he's fully snipping that squad how he wants it to be. We're going to see even better football for next season. But I think right now, you know, I'm happy with what I'm seeing. I'm really impressed. And I don't know, You know, I think Gilmore, as he was saying, back up Kepa.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't think anyone's using Kepa, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, some of the comments are talking about Haaland, bro. Like, Nini, what's your take on the Haaland rumors so far, and what does it mean for Tammy Abraham if he was to come in?
Obviously, it's a bit of a mad one because it would be a board signing, a board pushing that. And I'm just thinking, at one point, you got to think about the squad balance a little bit. You know what I mean? Because even Haaland's one of those guys that likes to play on the shoulder a bit and drift down that left side channel. We've got how many players that can do that right now? So unless the plan is to really, you know, be brutal and sell some guys off to make way, that's the only way I can really see it working like that. And to be honest, you know, I think as we've been saying before, I'd be curious to see Kai playing as a false nine. Like, I really feel like that could be a mad role for him, considering the guys we got in the team, guys that we got on the loan army too, who can come back and play off him and do something with that. So it's kind of like, you know, we haven't even found that set best position for Kai right now. I mean, who knows what's going to happen as the season goes on? Like, me personally, I've got an open mind. I feel like we're going to see so many different things. So yeah, who even knows?
A lot of games coming up, of course. We're going to be seeing a lot of changes. We probably won't see his best 11 until probably, March, April, maybe, until he kind of understands the team, of course. As, of course, we spoke about it very quickly. I want to speak about one more rumour, Hakimi. Do we need Hakimi at this club, or is it something that we just need to brush it away, basically?
I'm not sure we need Hakimi, man. We've got Reece James and we just spent 50 million on Chilwell. So where do we fit him in? I mean, for me, like I said, Reece James is up there with the best right backs in the league. And then you just spent 50 million on Chilwell. Of course, the club's got a plan for him, where to play him and to be an upcoming left back for the next 5 years at least. So he's still young. So Hakim is a great talent. I'm not doubting that. And he's a very good player in a 5-back. And he links well with his wingers, overlapping, a massive goal threat as well. So yeah, there's nothing against Hakimi, but I just don't see as to why we need him, man. The squad hasn't got to be that strong, you know what I'm saying? Because Reece James and Chilwell can at least be good enough to be consistent starters, and then having backup left backs and right backs who can be squad players. But Hakimi's not the type who would be a squad player. If you're buying Hakimi, he's got to walk into your team, especially for the money you're going to get it for. He's a top quality player. So with Reece James and Chilwell, I think we're set, man. I don't think we need to invest into any more right back. I told you what we need, bro. We need a DM, we need a centre back, and that's our main two priorities for now, man. Maybe even a keeper, but DM and centre back, that's what we need to be putting our money in first, bro.
Yeah.
Well said, man. Well said.
It feels like them Hakimi links. I mean, I can't even call them links or rumors, to be honest. There wasn't really nothing to them. Like when you read it, it was just more the case of one. Like last year, we were interested in him. Now Inter Milan could be forced to sell because they haven't been able to afford, you know, paying the fees towards Dortmund. But that's kind of it. I haven't read nothing about like Chelsea are looking into signing them because it just wouldn't make any sense. It's
all speculation, man. Every reporter wants to be the first to break the story, so they're all speculating all the time.
Yeah. But you know what's even funny though? Like I feel like obviously because I'm always doing these news stories, so I always see like the first article, and then what you see is that all the other like publications will like jump on that. They'll kind of slowly do like little Chinese whispers to try and stretch it a tiny bit, and then by the time the fifth guy's come on to say his piece, it's a completely different story. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, there's nothing to this Hakimi links at all, man. Yeah.
Another quick question. I know you've done a video on him already, Nini. I don't know how you even pronounce it properly. Sully?
What, Sula? Oh. Talk about Sula. Ask Nini about him. Obviously, the reports are coming out from Builds, and obviously, you know, Builds, it's not like the most like reputable source, but for me, it's more a case of, okay, it's quite clear that in the market, we're going to sign a big defender. So obviously, the shortlist is looking mad right now. We've got big players, you know, big potential who have the same kind of criteria. You know, they're guys who can defend in the air, defend on the grounds. They can move the ball out from the back. You know what I mean? They can play in a 3. They can play in a 2. And it's interesting. Obviously, with Marcano, the same type of defender who can do that. Sula, another guy that can do that. Guys like Marquinhos too, and so many more. So. I don't know how high up the list Asula would be, but if we can't get certain targets, let's say Upamecano decides, you know what, I don't want to go to the Premier League, I want to go to Bayern because they've just been on my case for too long, then who knows? But I don't know. I can't say with him, like, he's definitely coming, but I can say that he's part of the shortlist. And I mean, it's exciting to see the type of quality we're looking at.
Yeah, for sure. Upamecano, is that release clause legit? in the
Oh
summer.
yeah, it was legit from last year. Obviously, you know, he signed a new contract, new release clause in it at 42 million euros. So yeah, I think the minute he signed that contract, it was basically like he's gonna be going. You know what I mean? A price like that, every big club's looking at him. Liverpool, us, Bayern, so many more. I know some people. I think they looked at his performance against Man United when Leipzig lost that 5-0 or something. I think they held it against him too much because obviously, I think he's only got 21 years old. It's kind of like the potential we're signing him for. I mean, how many 21-year-olds are playing like he is?
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it is on social media, fam. Like one performance, they just turn on you and make memes and all that stuff.
It takes one guy to make one dead comp of you, and that's it.
You know how it is nowadays.
Another game, man. Flipping out.
What was I gonna say? Thiago Silva adds. I was saying it's probably been arguably our best player this season, maybe alongside Mason Mount as well. But Thiago Silva for me is someone that has done really, really well. Obviously, he's expected to start tomorrow. Do you see him signing another deal with Chelsea?
Yeah, for sure, man. I think Thiago Silva's got to stay on. I think him, Reece James, and Mason Mount, those have been my top 3 players for me this season. So they're the only ones that have performed consistently to a high level, that haven't dropped in and out of performances. They've been solidified players in that team sheet. And apart from that game against West Brom at the start where he made his mistake, he's been faultless, really. So with Thiago Silva, I think he's definitely got to stay on for at least a year. He's signing a new centre back in the summer, and then he plays that kind of squad role. But with me, you know my thoughts are deep, bro. It's like, I want us to go and get an experienced centre back this summer. I want us to go look at the Marquinhoses, the Alabas, the Jimenez, because I want these players that have played at the top level, bro. Not an Upamecano that hasn't really got the experience, because we've already got too many inexperienced players on our team. We've already seen in the big games this season, the decision-making from some of the young players just hasn't been there. So I want someone at the back line, and Thiago Silva ain't in the team. He's going to take the game by the scruff of the neck and show the players how it's done and lead by example. So I think it's important that we go get a centre-back that's played in the Champions League semi-finals, that's played in the finals, that's played in all of these big games. I think that's important for the club, that we don't just go and get another potential signing, because obviously we've already got centre-backs at the club. We've got Tomori hasn't obviously been bought yet, but then we've got Gerhis, we've got Mbiyambas, who we haven't even really seen yet. But from what we've heard and what we've seen at Barcelona, he looks like a good player. So I think it's more important that we get an experienced centre-back that will come in and make an instant impact and really push us from like title pretenders to title challengers. You know what I'm saying? That's actually going to come and change the team completely. We see what a centre-back can do with the likes of Ruben Diaz and Van Dijks. So it's important that we go out and get a top one.
Well said. Nini, what's your take on Thiago Silva, bro? Another contract?
Obviously, I feel like he will. Obviously, he's had an ambition to play for Brazil. You know what I mean? And Thiago Silva, for me, just like all these other older players, you know, we need to, like, when we're going to start changing our minds of the guys who are like in their 30s, like, you know, early 30s, mid 30s, late 30s, because obviously just that, with how much the game's advanced when it comes to just like, you know, like healthcare and all that. And these guys, if you respect your body, if you invest all the money you've earned over your long career into your body and looking after yourself and being disciplined, you can go far. Like, I mean, I look at Thiago Silva and like, haven't he, like, people will say stuff like he lacks pace, but can he really, really say that? Has there been a situation this season where you'll be like, right, where's Thiago Silva's pace? Like, he's been done out here. Not at all, because he's a proper world-class defender where he's in the right position all the time. He's still got the physicality in him. And my thing is, the way he just quickly came to the Premier League and very easily copes with every threat. It's mad. It's mad. And obviously, if that was a board signing, I'm always opposed to board signings, of course not. But that was definitely a genius signing, because he's by far the best signing this season, by far. But I don't know. Obviously, look at the market. I'm looking at guys like Upamecano, and obviously, I get what you're saying as about, like, you know, you can't have potential all the time. You can't. But at the same time, you know, if we allow these other big clubs to sign a guy like that who can then be molded and like grow even more and like really like solidify their backlines over the years. And I don't know, I've seen Upamecano play like a lot of games, obviously on BT Sport. Obviously, shout out to BT Sport on obviously Leipzig playing, and yeah, I saw the games versus Bayern Munich. It was that game versus Bayern Munich last season. I was like, okay, this guy's I can see why he's a serious player. You know what I mean? Because the way he handled Lewandowski in that game, mad. So yeah, for me, I feel like because he's that good, I would go for him, and I think that's what the board are kind of doing. Like when we signed Kai Havertz, like we didn't have to sign Kai, but we kind of signed him because obviously,
big statement.
This is a big statement, and this is a guy that can be a proper leading player, like in the future. So yeah, we're in a mad situation because the transfer ban really helps us a lot in the sense that it kind of not reset our finances, but it allowed us to have even more to spend. Obviously, back in the UCL too, still got sellable assets and obviously with COVID too, meaning that other clubs can't really spend the same way because obviously not earning from match day revenues and all these types of things. Yeah, we're in a situation we've been in before, but not like to this degree where we can really like sign who we want. That's the impression I get. So for me, I really like Upamecano, and I'd be down like to sign someone like that.
For sure. I'm looking at this whole like Rudiger Zuma situation. Like, I don't think Zuma's done anything wrong before Lampard left as well. Like I don't really see why he was dropped and stuff. Adz, what's the future for Zuma, man? Because I felt like he has been doing really well at Chelsea recently, and I felt like he should be in the first team.
For me, it's a difficult one. I'm not gonna lie, because especially when we're going with the three at the back, that's a formation which is well suited to so many of our centre backs. You look at Azpi, that's his perfect form. That's his perfect position at right centre back. That's where he plays his best. Also look at Rudiger. He plays best at left centre back as well. When he's picking up the ball, he's got his recovery pace. He can do those long diagonals with either foot, playing it into the channels behind. I mean, for me, there's positives and negatives to both Zuma and Rudiger. But for me, personally, I don't think there's much in between the defenders because obviously Rudiger had a bad season last season, but we're looking at him at previous years when he's been alongside more experienced defenders and he's actually looked like a good player. Look at him with next to David Luiz that season under Surrey. Those two are solid, very solid. We finished third that season with quite a lot of clean sheets as well. And you've got to remember that he was playing alongside Alonso, who we know in the back four is a joke. And then you got Azpi, a decline in Azpi, and then you got David Luiz. So you're playing him with three defenders who all have a lot of mistakes in them, and he's still looking good. And that's when everyone back then was saying, "Oh, Rudiger's our best centre back." And then as soon as one season goes wrong, as soon as one season goes wrong, he gets written off all over again. But to be honest, when he's played in the team this season, majority of the games now he's kept a clean sheet and put in a good display. So I think Rudiger also does deserve to get a chance in the team. I don't think he should just be written off on the side. Of course, I would have liked to see Tomori play more when he was here, but forget about Tomori now. He's gone. Let's focus on what we have. So I like Rudiger in the back three. Zuma still does have a part to play. Of course he does. He's very solid in the tackle. He's aerially, he's a monster. Him and Van Dijk, top two in the air in the league. So he brings a lot of attributes to the team. But my only fault with him, and what I do like more about Rudiger, is the ball playing ability. You see that Rudiger's a lot more comfortable in his ball. His passing range is a lot better as well. And you see teams actually come out and they'll press Zuma onto his back foot and try to force errors out of him. Although he hasn't been caught out too many times this season, there is times that he doesn't look as comfortable on the ball as Rudiger. Yeah. And we've seen it against Southampton when they pushed him back. And then look at what happened with that. Who was it? Che Adams' goal. When obviously Kepa messed it about, but it all came from Zuma and the press. So yeah, I think there's positives and negatives of both of them. I think in the back four, I'd probably stick with Zuma, but definitely in the back three, left centre back, Rudiger, that's literally tailor-made for him. Same with Azpi. Those two positions are tailor-made to them. So it depends what we're going with. Obviously, Tuchel's going to switch it about, and it depends on the formation who I'd start, to be honest.
Yeah, for real. I feel like obviously if you're Zuma in a back three, ideally you're playing in Thiago Silva's position, but then you got Thiago Silva, so obviously you would have to start him regardless. So this is what I mean. Sometimes when it comes to this football stuff, I feel like this is where maybe the boards can this is where if you had a proper unified vision, where we're not having all these players that can are sick in certain systems and not so great in others, and then it's just bringing bad vibes at times because no one's in the team at certain periods. I feel like as said, Zuma's better in a back four, but then if you're going to play in a back three system, obviously you want Rudiger there who can spray the ball from that position, find Hudson-Odoi if you're on the right hand side, he can do that consistently too, because Rudiger he's been playing some beautiful balls this season from that position, some unbelievable balls, to be honest. And this is what I mean. Something you just can't take this stuff personal. Obviously tactics for that rules everything, and then all the rest comes after. So yeah, it just is what it is, to be honest.
For sure. Adz was talking about Azpi declining, man. I kind of get it in pace, but Nini, what do you make of Azpi over the years, man? You think he's falling off slowly? Because I don't feel it. I feel like maybe last season he fell off at the start of the season and then he came back strong, and I feel like this season has been quite good.
But that's what it comes down to, though. Obviously, if you're playing him in like Lampard's system as a right back, when the game's more expansive, you got to be brave and push higher up. Yeah, we saw he was looking kind of like Ivanovic. Like it's just not at that level to do what maybe back in the day, yeah, but he can't do that. So obviously playing as that right centre back, you know, and they're not right centre back, but the right of a back three is the best of both worlds. But he's got protection from all sides.
Yeah,
you know, he's very good at closing the spaces, supporting, you know, like teammates go in the tackles. Obviously, that season under Conte, him and Moses, I thought their relationship defensively was just outstanding all the time. And it's just like from like a defensive, like protective point of view, that's when Azpi shines. But when it comes to anything other than that, then he's got his limits. And I just think that eventually with Reece James, and he's someone that can kind of do that anyway. I mean, back in the U team, he's played as that in that same position that Azpi's done. So it wouldn't surprise me if we saw Tuchel use him in that same role as the season goes on. But yeah, it's hard to answer this stuff because if we're talking about like back threes, and Azpi will probably be one of the leading ones.
yes.
If we're talking about anything else, then probably not.
Yeah, my thing with Azpi was that in the back three, that's where you'll see the best out of him. But when you've got him attacking as a right back, it's a complete different story, man, because the recovery pace isn't there, nor is the 1v1 ability. You know, back in the day, Azpi was one of the hardest in the Prem to beat in a 1v1, yeah. But now someone will drop a shoulder or a little shimmy and they'll get past him. So it's not the same Azpi that we used to see. But like I said, that a right centre back or back at right at the back three is tailor made for him. He can also step up into midfield and play those crosses that he likes so much, those crosses from about 30, 40 yards when he just lofts them into the back post, curls them into the back post. So I think that's the best position for him. But as far as right back or right wing back concerns, I think he's definitely not good enough to play there anymore.
Yeah, he's been there for what, more than 7 years, isn't it? It's like 9 years now, I think it is, over 400 appearances.
He came in the 12-13 season, right? So yeah, it must be like 8, approaching 9, something like that.
For sure. Mason Mount, obviously, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not the biggest fan, but I don't think he's bad. I think he's been very, very good this season. I have to give him credit for it. Why do you guys think he gets a lot of disrespect? Is it just because of his goals and assists? I know he's created a lot of chances for Chelsea this season, but Nini, why do you think he gets a lot of disrespect?
To be honest, it's quite hard for me to understand why, because I think you guys know, like, obviously, you know, I think about stuff like the tactics first and like what the players do for the team, and you know, do they make other players play better too, and all those types of details. And if you look at it from that perspective, then yeah, you can understand why every manager uses him. My Tuchel's had very big praise for Mason Mount too. And I just feel like because I've seen Mason Mount from when he was back in the youth team, obviously saw what he was doing for Vitesse too, it felt like the impression people got of him last season was just, I kept saying it is not an accurate impression of Mason Mount. He was playing in that role, not because Lampard hates other guys or, I don't know, reasons that aren't really football reasons for me personally.
Yeah,
he had to play a role last season where he had to help press from the front. He had to help support your Alonsos and your Emersons out wide in the flanks too, having to come back as well. And in a sense, he played a sacrificial role for the team. And this is what people forget. Like, obviously, if you were to play FM, Football Manager, you're not going to set all your players to attacking duties, are you? You know what I mean? You're not going to do that. You're going to have certain guys in the team that are set on support because they need to help other guys do whatever. So for me, Mount, obviously, it's sort of education, you know, the defensive side, the work rate, the discipline, all of that. But I think this season, even the stats are showing the progressive passes, which he's always had in his game. It's never been something new for him. That's all coming out. And obviously, I mean, the guy, I feel like now that he's got more comfortable in the Premier League, I'm now seeing more of those silky touches I was seeing before. I'm now seeing that extra composure in his game that he wasn't showing as much last season. And I'm now seeing the stuff like, yeah, this is the Mason Mount that I know. So it's them ones where, you know, eventually, next season or two, whatever, the opinions will slowly come down. And Because it's going to take a lot of people a long time to realize, you know, football is not the storylines. I was saying that before. Like, I feel like sometimes people will miss the wrong perspective because people only talk about football from the storyline perspective, like, oh, like the moments, the fantasy, whatever, forgetting that there's a technical side, there's a tactical side, all these important things behind the scenes where that should be involved in the discussion as well. So obviously, if you don't involve that, you're then going to be saying stuff like, oh, you know, Mason Mount favoritism, English favoritism. I'll be honest, dumb stuff. I think that's pretty dumb, because if you just see it from a football side, that's it's a completely different picture. And then if you see it from a football side, come with your football opinions. Like, maybe I see Mount doing X, Y, Z, but you know, I do feel maybe this player can bring that back. That's calm. But then if your argument's just stuff like that, then I can't take it serious, to be honest.
Also, like, you know, when we go to games, you know, me and you spoke about it a couple of years ago in terms of watching players off the ball. I feel like because we're watching on TV now, we can't really examine it like that, if you know what I mean. So that's why I feel like some opinions that I see online, I'm thinking, did you really watch the guy? If you know what I mean. So I feel like, this pandemic has affected us for sure in terms of seeing these players off the ball for sure. But Adz, your take on Mason Mount, man. Why is it getting a lot of disrespect?
Like I was telling you yesterday, bro, like, and again, top 3 player for me this season, arguably best, in my opinion. I think all the hate is completely unjust. I think if you're looking at what Mason Mount actually brings to the team, he's a manager's dream. And you're telling me, oh, Lampard this, Lampard that, but I think any manager would love to have him. Mourinho, Pep, whoever you want to think. I think anyone would love to have him as a part of their team. I mean, he brings so much to our team, the press, the chance creation, the forward thinking. I mean, these are all things that no one else in our midfield is really doing for us, man. I understand, yes, he needs to up his goals. He needs to make those late arrivals.
100%, yeah.
He needs to make those late arrivals into the box. He needs to shoot from outside the box more.
Yeah.
But then again, people are forgetting that scoring goals in football is the hardest thing to do. There's nothing harder in football than scoring goals. I can tell you that for a fact. There's nothing harder. You need those moments of individual brilliance. You need to pick up the right positions. It's so much more than just putting the ball in the back of the net. It's not easy to score goals at all. The guy's young. You've got to give him time to develop. These things will come. But look at the improvement. Look how he collects the ball on a half turn. Look how he collects the ball on a half turn. Brilliant, bro. Press resistance, everything. He's getting better at dribbling. I'm seeing a bit more flair from him.
When he's
picking up in his goal, those little crave turns, those little chops. You're not seeing this from Mason before. But now he's looking like a different player this season, man. I think the consistency's been there, high level of performance, someone you can always rely on. If we want to play this Gergen pressing style of football under Tuchel, we've heard what Tuchel's had to say. I want my players to win the ball back and squeeze the opposition in the first 5 to 7 seconds. Who would you rather than Mason Mount to do that? Who would you rather? I mean, Mason Mount, we've seen it countless times this season. A fake press. Under Lampard, we're playing a fake press. We're trying to do a counter-pressing system, but it was a fake press. We saw Tammy and Mount leading the charge and everyone else was sitting back following and watching. How many times? I've seen it countless times. Tammy and Mount running for their life, and no one following. I see Werner with his hands on his hip. Pulisic is looking at his boots. I don't know what's going on. And then, come on, man.
Now, you're right, though. It's pure facts. And obviously Adz, you know what you're talking about because you're a footballer, innit? Like you play like first team, like this is what I mean. So just the fact that, you know, a guy that actually plays the game is able to give that perspective, that's what I mean. I feel like, why is it that voices like this always get like pushed aside for some like agenda-driven conversation? I feel like even that word agenda is the most frustrating words of this times
Twitter,
ever.
fam.
Bro,
you know,
how annoying it is, because agenda is basically, okay, I don't like your opinion, so you got an agenda. Not, okay, I don't like your opinion, here's my counterpoint. It's never that simple. Which for me is it's just very simple, but it's never like that. Instead, people just limit themselves to disagreement. It's an agenda. I'm not going to listen now. And it's weird. Obviously, we've been on socials and Twitter like past few years. It's just got absolutely different. Like it's just different now, isn't it?
Fam, we spoke about it all the time.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into that right now, but bro, it's making me feel like an old man. Trust
me. Listen, guys, before we wrap it up, Loftus-Cheek is someone that I want to speak about. He's doing quite well at Fulham. Of course, he's had a really, really bad injury at Chelsea before he left out on loan. Adz, very quickly, Loftus-Cheek, do you see him coming back next season, or do you want him to go on another loan?
Yeah, bro. like I tell you before, it's all about what Loftus-Cheek wants, in my opinion. If this guy really has the heart and desire to make it as a Chelsea Football Club player, and he really wants to play for the club, I think he has every chance to. But I think it might take him another loan. I'm not sure Loftus-Cheek breaks into the first team next season. But then again, who am I to say that? Scott Parker's putting trust in him this season, and he's looking like he's getting back to his best, man. He's looking like the Loftus-Cheek that has to get fouled every 30 seconds to stop him doing something special. Yeah. Like I watched him against West Brom, and he got man in the match, and they were taking him out the whole game. I mean, there's definitely still a play in there. And like I told you previously, without that stupidly timed friendly in America, he'd be one of the best players at Chelsea Football Club right now. And I can say that hands down, one of the best players our club has right now if that friendly didn't happen. But bro, Loftus-Cheek, he can definitely give Tuchel something to think about. He might come back, have a pre-season, and Tuchel can see what he likes, see how he trains, see how he performs in the friendlies, and then you never know from there, man. But it will be difficult for him. But then again, what's not difficult in life, man? There's nothing given to you on a platter. He has to come back and work, man, and he's got to have the right mentality. So like I said, if he has the heart, if he has the desire, I really want to play for Chelsea Football Club, he's got to come back from loan and impress, man. There's no two ways about it. So it's all on him. It depends on him, man, how hard he wants it, how much he wants it.
For sure. Nini, what's your take on Loftus-Cheek, bro?
I feel like, the fact that we're seeing like the Ruben that we recognize, the one that we really, really recognize, not the fake one we've been seeing since he came back from injury, and you know what I mean, like not like taking men on, you know what I mean, like looking uncomfortable on the ball, playing with no like conviction and no confidence. Nah, that was a fake Ruben to me. And the fact that, of course, he struggled at Fulham when he first went there. You know, I know Fulham fans coming to me saying, "Oh, you're gassing them up, blah blah blah." I mean, he's shit, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But them ones where after you sustain an injury like that, you need to build the mentals to really fully get back. You need to feel that full confidence in your body. That muscle memory, that's very important too. That sharpness as well. And now you're seeing that Ruben is doing that. Now, of course, his finishing ain't been there. But I mean, it's not going to be there when you've barely been able to ball out this past 18 months, 12 months. So for me, I feel like, of course, a player of his dimensions. I mean, we can't forget the club gave him a big contract. I mean, he's earning a lot of money. So it's not like he's going to, he's got big hopes at the club. There's a reason why Lampard never ruled him out. And now we're seeing Ruben doing the things he was doing before. Picked up his first man in the match and how knows long. You know what I mean? I feel like he's only gonna go out from here, to be honest. And next season, it's gonna be so mad. And this is what I mean, the club, Like for me personally, when Tuchel got 18 months, I was a bit iffy. I'm thinking, if you sign a guy like this, I don't know why you can't give him 3 years, to be honest. Because for me, in the summer, there'd have to be decisions made about players who are staying and who are going. And these can have massive ramifications for the next few years. So you want to make sure the guy that you're allowing to make them decisions or be involved in them, be strongly involved in them, is going to have a long-term future here. Because, again, imagine you're letting a guy have power who you're not fully riding for, and then, you know what I mean, boom. We're in another situation where you're De Bruyne's and everyone's gone and they become world-class players elsewhere, and then we're still, wasting millions and millions every year trying to get that same quality back. So I feel like I'm looking at the midfields, and I feel like even though they're all great players in their own right, they can't all be in the same team. I'm looking at Barkley, who's come back now. You know what I mean? Even coming back from his 2 months out with his hamstring, got his first goal for Aston Villa just like that. In the team, Cover George, Kante, Mount, Havertz,
it's too much.
It's too much. It is, and I feel like whoever gets sold isn't going to be one of them ones where it's like, you're not good enough, or you're the weakest one. It'll come down to stuff like, who can we get the most money for? Maybe, you know what I mean? Who's the sacrifice? That's what it's like a lot of times at football. So I do feel that after seeing obviously that 3-4-2-1, I was thinking to myself, right, imagine if you saw that Ruben and Mount in that position, for example, you know what I mean? Like Ruben just taking man on like that. Yeah, at the same time, we've got Ziyech, we've got Havertz, you know what I mean? It's just, I feel like we got so many sick players, but could it be a case next season where we've got too many, And also, we have to talk about the deadwood, bro. Obviously not proper deadwood, but I'm talking about like the Lonzos, the Emersons, Zapacosta, Bakayoko. You got all these guys. Like, how are we going to sell all of them
across one window, but we've not been able to sell them. They've gone out on loan. Should we take a massive cut on these guys, Adz?
Bro, like I told you, even when people are mentioning Kepas and Alonsos and Rudigers and Jorginhos, who wants these men? Who wants
Yeah.
Who wants these players, bro? No one's going to come and give you the money that you want. And that's why Lampard and Marina had this argument. Because Lampard was obviously leaving them out the squad, but Marina wants to make her money back. She doesn't want to just cut her losses with all of these, man. What kind of business move would that be? We know at the end of the day, she's a businesswoman. Rather than a football woman, she's a businesswoman.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, where do you expect these players to go? They're not going to get you any more than a loan with an option to buy. And we've seen how petty these loans with option to buy are. They're not serious. We've seen Bakayoko do it about 5 times already, fam. When the hell are we going to get rid of this guy? I mean, this is the good thing about Tuchel. This is the upside. He's going to give all these players a fresh chance. Hopefully, Kepa's the only one that I'll be like, just get him out of here, get him on loan, and hope he can regain his confidence. But with the rest, by potentially playing them until the end of the season, you're giving them a chance to show what they're about, put them on the market to other clubs. But some of these players, they're so tailor-made to a system like Jorginho, and where do these players even fit in other clubs? Who signs these players? So it's going to be difficult to get them gone, but how are you going to do it without giving them game time? So it's a good thing about Tuchel. And just another thing, Nini, you see how you were saying about the 18-month contract thing, how Tuchel could have easily got 3 years. This is another reason why I want to go for these experienced centre-backs, because we need to consider the aspirations of the club. And this is when people tell me, oh, Tammy's not good enough for Chelsea Football Club, I hold my hands up, I say, cool. But then you've got to acknowledge the aspirations. What do we want? Do we want to compete for the Premier League and be a serious club, not a false pretender, not someone who's going for the Europa League? So we're going to be serious in the Champions League. Because if we are, and the club's already told Tuchel, you need to come here and win stuff. You've only got 18 months. Tuchel knows what he has to do. This is another reason why we got to go for the Marquinhoses, for the Jimenezes, and these top-class centre-backs. Because you need someone to quickly make that instant impact, experience. If they have a couple of games, bad games, it's not going to get to their head. They've been through all of this. They're going to know how to deal with it. And then bang, this is how you get yourself to becoming a serious team. Upamecano, I've got nothing against Upamecano. I think he's going to be a great centre-back in the future. For right now, for the thing that Chelsea is setting up for, all the money we spend, we need instant results right now. And the only way we're going to do that is getting experienced players, because we've got too many inexperienced ones right now who are not making the correct decisions in big games sometimes. So the more experienced players, top quality centre-backs that have been there, done that in all the big games, I think we need to bring them into the club ASAP.
Yeah, it's but even then, it feels like it's going to be like exactly tough, because the market, obviously, you're looking at a Jimenez. I do like Jimenez. I do. Obviously, I used to watch Atletico Madrid all the time back when they won the league title. Of course, I saw like guys like Koike breaking the team, Saul and Jimenez at the time. All the years back, I was like, rah, this guy. To have this type of character as a teenager, to be coming in this Atletico Madrid team, telling man where to go here, there, and not being phased at all. Now, that's a big player, but at the same time, is passing from the back like that. Yeah, he's good on the ball, but like, is it that type of level that we need? Because we're looking for like a Thiago Silva type of successor. You know what I mean? He's going to be the one to, the goalkeeper passes the ball to him, so they can start the passing move to play out from the back. And I'm looking in the market. I look at Alaba. He'd be probably the best one, because he's on a free.
Definitely.
On a free, and all you got to do is just try gas up Pini. Gas up Alaba, give him whatever money he wants. But it seems like he's got Spain in his heads. You know what I mean? He's got Real Madrid in his heads. Obviously, guys like Varane, Varane's level's not been, he hasn't broken that level that I thought he was going to break, to be honest. Probably injuries played its part, but he hasn't. And then I'm thinking, would I then want to spend that type of money on him? I don't know if I could. And then after that, I'm thinking, okay, on the market right now, all the big defenders are all out in their late 30s, are all olds. And this is why all the European clubs now are looking for like the next best thing to sign now. And it's just like, it's a hard situation. It really is. So, we interested to see.
What about Marquinhos? He's only 26.
Marquinhos, from what I heard, obviously, it's looking like it's a bit improbable at this point in time, to be honest. But I need to get even more info as to why that's the case. But I've been saying for time, if I could get one player, probably would be Marquinhos, because you know what I mean. He's a serious player, and these are the guys that you sign guys like this, put them in your team, and that's how you go to the next level to win things. But again, if you want to see our ambition and test that, of course, it's time to put our money where our mouths are. Try and see if we can influence decisions and changes and stuff like that. Obviously, this league and situation right now is mad. And a part of me has always felt like, you know, if your players are like a Bayern or players at like a Paris Saint-Germain, you're like the big boy every single year. Like as a player, competition-wise, like, do you get the same satisfaction? I don't know. That's me absolutely projecting right now. I don't know. But, you know, I get the impression that because these guys aren't on the market, that's what we're turning towards. Like, okay, if they're young, do they have at least like big experience playing in the Champions League, you know, competing like for titles like Leipzig was trying to do? You know what I mean? So I can kind of understand that on that level. But yeah, it feels like defense right now, you know, who is that big, like who are like 5 big 26, 27-year-old like defenders right now that you're like, rah, like top of your head, boom.
No one wants to be a defender anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not like that anymore. It's not like that anymore. Just a last question before we wrap it up.
Of course, man.
Tomori's deal, I still don't understand it. Like I still don't understand how it got to this level. Is it more of the board? You know, he wasn't featuring. What's your take on Tomori? Like the buy option, he's doing well at AC Milan as well. He could be gone. He could be gone basically.
I mean, I'm not too worried in that sense. I mean, there's so many ways to look at it. One example is, okay, we know we've got top young defensive talent here too. Is there a slight possibility, just like if we're like doing a little brainstorm on the wall, whatever, could one option be that maybe some of the younger guys the club feel have higher potential than Tomori? That's one hypothetical. I think another reality from how he struggled, obviously, in that first season was when the injuries came at the wrong time. Then it came about needing to get results. And when result-based football comes, then young players, as we're already seeing with Tuchel right now, you tend to get discarded. And then obviously then, you know, everything gets reset. All these defenders are back on it straight. And then, you know, even though I like Tomori a lot, I mean, I can't lie, even in the games he has performed in, let's say it's 90 minutes, he'll make mistakes for 10 minutes and then get back in. And I do feel like that was probably the main reason why he wasn't relied upon consistently all the time, because, you know, be like maybe a sloppy pass up from the back that other defenders don't do, or maybe it'd be like being in the wrong position, like when it comes to moving the ball out or being like tucked in to help like manage the spaces. And for me, that's typical when you're like 21 years old. But at the same time, at top 4 level is different because it's always that pressure where you can't afford to make mistakes. And that's why a lot of times, you know, these clubs, I mean, look at Madrid, for example, they'll sign every top young talent. How many of them really come through and do anything? Like even Odegaard, like imagine he bought out the entire season for Real Sociedad. For what, basically? He came back to Madrid and boom, they didn't even look at him again. So this is what I mean. I don't feel like if not being in the first team at 21, 22 at clubs like us, it's not like an insult on your career. But I think I rate Tomori a lot for wanting to go to AC Milan, that ambition, you know, new league, new language. You know that you're only going to get positive experiences from that. And the way Milan are just marketing them, gassing them up right now, I just feel like, in a sense, that's at the club. Like if you were to sign Tomori, you'd sign him from an AC Milan, if you know what I mean, where he becomes the top guy there for like a season or two, and then boom, he's ready. So with Tomori, the guy's got talent, man. I mean, 1v1, I mean, who's really beating him? One of the fastest defenders in Europe too. I mean, he can play out from the back as well. He can carry that ball forward. I mean, he's a top talent. So I'm just kind of seeing it as them ones where it's like, okay, he's going to like uni, basically. He's going to uni in Italy to get his little like, you know what I mean? His little defensive experience, get his dissertation in defending. And then that's it. You know what I mean? He'll come back with his first, and then we can start seeing the real Tomori. So I'm not too worried, to be honest. I feel like in the end, there could be a very positive lining coming soon.
Big facts, man. Big facts. Adz, you want to add anything to that Tomori situation?
Yeah, man. With Tomori, it's a difficult one because me personally, I don't understand it. Maybe I can understand, okay, he's not going to be a consistent first-team starter, but disregarded from the squad is just an absolute joke because he showed, in my personal opinion, last season he showed us nothing that warrants that. I mean, he could at least be a 3rd or 4th choice centre-back with some game time in the cups and whatever. He wasn't even playing against Krasnodar when we were already through into the Champions League at home. He couldn't even get a game then. So, yeah, with Tomori, I think he's a very good defender. Like Nini said, he has got his faults, but what young defender doesn't? You're never going to expect these men to be the final project at the age of 21, 22. It's impossible. So we got to. I'm upset that we sent him out with the option to buy, because it would have been better for us if we could have got him back for next season and seen what Tuchel could have done with him. Like Younes said, his pace is one of the best in Europe for a centre-back, and you can never disregard these sort of things, because look at the modern-day attacker. Quick, nippy, agile, nimble, running behind. Yeah. Pace is crucial for a centre-back, and you don't see too many centre-backs that actually have that raw pace. And like all the Chelsea players said, he was actually one of the fastest at the club. So this is one of his main factors, and it's very good to see that in a centre-back, especially with a modern-day attacker. But yeah, like Nini was saying again, the patience thing. You don't have this type of patience at these big clubs. It just doesn't work like that. You get a couple of bad mistakes and you're off. Like, I was having a debate with someone the other day saying that he was trying to tell me that more big teams should follow Leicester's model of signing players and going for the young players with potential. And I was saying, bro, but it's not like this at the big clubs. You don't have this kind of time, and the fans or the manager, you don't have the patience. You make a couple of mistakes and you're out for the next 6 weeks until you find the cup game to start. Yeah, like, it doesn't work like this. You see Leicester, it's such a unique club in the way their fans, because they've transitioned themselves from such a small team into competing for Europe. But the fact that the fans and the club, they know what they are. They know they're not one of the big clubs.
Exactly.
They give these players the time to make these mistakes. They give them actually the time to make these mistakes, and they won't kick them out of the team. They'll just continue to give them patience and let them develop as players. And a prime example, look at Fofana and Saliba. Saliba was actually the higher rated centre-back at St. Etienne. They've both come back to the Premier League. Everyone's saying Fofana's lit the Premier League alight. And then look at Saliba. He's gone back on loan to Nice. He hasn't even got a game against Dundalk in Europe.
Real talk.
I'm saying, in these big clubs, you just don't have time. You do not have time. And that's another thing with Upamecano, fam. Regardless of the big money, if he's not playing it well, he might not be able to handle the pressure. You know what the Chelsea fans are like. You know what the Chelsea community is like, especially if fans get back into the ground. It won't be good. So I think just getting this big leader of a centre-back experience would be better for the club. Tomori, I'd like to get him back. Hopefully they don't. But Maldini already said about how much he rates him. And if Maldini rates him, who am I to not rate him if Maldini
That's
rates
what
him?
I mean. Like, imagine being Tomori and Maldini is just like speaking Italian to you, like belling you up right now, saying, "I'll come here." You know what I mean? Like Tomori, I can imagine this guy's just like trying to make his job off with the passata right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like this is why Tomori didn't want to go to your West Hams or your Newcastles or your Brightons and all these dead teams, because he knew if I go to these dead teams, one, I'm not going to learn nothing. Two, even if I ball out, that's not going to be like enough of a reason to prove I can come back. You know, he understands what he has to do. You know what I mean? And the way Frank always spoke about him too was like a confidence and assurance that, listen, you guys, he's going to be good. I know him because I've worked with him for a very long time. We've seen when Tomori's shine at games like versus Liverpool, for example. You know what I mean? Games like that where when everything, the stars are aligning, you're boom, this is a serious player. But I just think obviously the pressures is just a bit different, and because we're not a Leicester City, not because our board has no patience, our fans have no patience as well. You know, it's like there's levels to this stuff. You know what I mean? Like clubs like Leicester City, you know, they're not meant to be going for trophies and titles. They're trying to get to a place where hopefully they can get European football consistently to be able to build like some foundations and take it off from there. But at the same time, you know, you look at like a Maddison, for example, he's a great player, but we've always seen them times where he's not taken that shot or he's not scored goals he should have been scoring and all these types of things. And these are reasons why no top team signed him yet, because it's exponential. You know, once you go to like a top 4 level, it's all about, even top 3 is even top 4. I mean, you look at 4th place spots, they're normally like, what, 15, 20 points behind, you know, the top 3, top 2. So I'd actually say top 3 if you really want to go for this. Yeah. The entry to barrier for success is just like that much higher and harder. That is different qualities. And this is why I feel like, because we're like top 4, you know, like, but we're fans of big teams, big clubs, we're only ever used to seeing excellence. You know what I mean? And you can take that excellence for granted. Like I'm telling you, watch some of these games versus like a mid-table Prem team or like a mid-table League One team. And you know, remember, there's like thousands of football teams out there, thousands and thousands and thousands. But you know what I mean? there's a reason why there's like maybe top 5, like, or 5 or 10 big clubs that are constantly going at it all the time, compared to all the thousands of clubs around there, because the quality that these clubs bring is just on a different level to what the others do. So, you know, if I was to add to what you were saying, Adz, about that, even that Leicester model, about the centre-back situation, I feel like we could get inspired from Liverpool. Well, maybe Liverpool might not even be the most accurate situation, because, you know, Klopp kind of made them like, actually, I don't know, because obviously Liverpool were like a top 4, you know, top 6 to 4 type of team.
Yeah.
Since Klopp came, since they brought that new strategy, it's been effective, and that's what's helped them close that gap, go to the next level. We saw, like, for example, I spoke about in my recent video, Robertson. Like, obviously, Klopp wanted a left back for a long time. But the difference in Liverpool was that they were happy to wait 2 years to find the right one instead of buy anyone, because then you get more negative ramifications from that. And in a sense, they knew that if you got a left back, yeah, they'd be sorted. But if the right one comes, that's the difference between, you know, like challenging, like pretending and going for this stuff. And I don't know, I feel like if there's anything we could take from what we've seen from Liverpool, who, you know, a team that was not really in the race of conversation, you know, out of it for years and years, who are now one of the best teams, best quality, high level. I feel like maybe we could be inspired in regards to how to conduct our business, you know, go for the right targets instead of just signing one for the sake of it.
Yeah, even that's a little bit hit and miss. That's the only thing I would say, because Robertson, that's an example of something that's very hit and miss. There's no guarantees he's going to come and do anything. Like, the game, at the end of the day, the guy came from Hull. But obviously, Klopp said, all right, look, this guy is good intensity, tenacious player, and this is something that fits his system, presses higher to win the ball back, good at going forward. So, yeah, I agree with you. We do need to look at Liverpool and how they've conducted themselves in the last few years. But then again, take nothing away from Chelsea, because in the summer we were all raving about who we signed and how well they're going to play for us. So I think it's more about just giving these time settling, and we never know. These players could be hitting the same levels. Like we were saying, Premier League's a different beast, man. It's a completely different beast, man. Players will become from top striker in Europe. Look at Werner, fam, top striker in Europe. And now, man, them are writing him off. Man, them are
it's mad. It's ruthless in this league. It really is.
It's ruthless. Just, I think it's more about giving these players time, because I don't really have a problem with the way Chelsea are conducting their business. They've done a good job in getting the young players through their academy, then signing good young talents that are going to be at the club, hopefully for like 10 years. And then also you've signed the likes of Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell, who Ben Chilwell is more as much on the experience side, but he's a Premier League player, so you know that he's been and through these levels. He knows what to do in this league. And Thiago Silva, of course, Thiago Silva was going to do his thing, man. Like, one of the best centre backs, best centre backs in our history, in my generation. So I know lots of him. So I think the club structure's all right now, and the model and the way that we're signing players, I ain't really got too much of a problem with it. I think it's cool. It's just more about giving the license to the managers of picking their specific preferred target. Because like Robertson, that's someone who's literally made for a Klopp system. And if a Tuchel identifies someone like that, then I say give him the license to go and get him if you're actually trying to back him.
Yeah. Let's hope, man. Let's hope. I feel like right now we've got all the ingredients, just the little details now to just like elevate us where we're going. I feel like hopefully Tuchel will be the guy that will get time to build and bring something here. Build them foundations more, make them stronger, and like take us forward from then on. But you know, I mean, it's always mad, because I do feel personally the board is like a little bit of a bottleneck in the sense that this, like, I don't know, like this corporate mentality we're thinking that every year, like even like the reports was even saying that season when we had the transfer ban, they was expecting top 4 guarantee anyway. You know what I mean? Which is that's. Considering lots of managers didn't want to sign for us, thinking, right, I can't do nothing with this team. I mean, I feel like sometimes, I don't know, I look at the Liverpool boards, because they're sports guys who have done it with different sports teams. They kind of knew sports ain't the same as like, you know, business sectors and stuff where you can just get exponential growth every single year. They understood what it takes to be able to do that. And I feel like, can our board do that? Like, let's say, for example, I don't know, like Kai Havertz, hypothetically, what if he needed like an extra 2 seasons to really ball out? What if next season he kind of struggles a tiny bit and there's talks of him being moved on or whatever? would that be like the right move? I mean, it's probably a dead example I gave, but it's just, I feel like I've seen the board make mistakes of that before, as we saw with your Lukaku's, De Bruyne, Salah's, where to this day, I look at these guys on TV and I can't help but get angry. I'm not gonna lie. That's like,
yeah.
I remember Lukaku missing the penalty, and that was his career over. Like,
Finished.
what? Are you mad? Like,
Can't
he
believe
was
it.
out the door. Oh, flipping.
You're right. That's the pressures that come with this club. I wouldn't be surprised if Havertz has a bad season next year. I mean, people were talking about him leaving and getting him out on loan. Remember last season, people were talking about Hudson-Odoi going out on loan after.
That's what I mean.
They're talking about Hudson-Odoi going championship. They're talking about going championship. Them into the championship. Like, do you remember who Hudson-Odoi is, bro? Do you remember who this guy is, man?
This is what I mean. Flipping hell, it's mad. But it's funny how all them voices now, everyone that was saying that shit, and I remember who was all saying that stuff. They're not saying nothing right now, which is typical reaction. You know what I mean? But this reactionary, this could be an entire different last thing in itself, talking about reactionary football opinions and takes. But yeah, man, just even considering what guys were saying about Hudson-Odoi, as if like that, the Hudson you were seeing was going to be the only one you see forever. Forgetting Bayern Munich came with 70 million. You wanted to pay more money for Hudson.
I was telling people about buying strategies and the way they run their club, and I was telling people that they don't go for big transfers, fam. They don't go for these big signings, fam. I think their record signing is about 45 mil.
Yeah.
Look how well this is a Champions League winning side, top side in Europe, and then they're willing to spend 70, 80 on Hudson-Odoi. It's all about championship. It's all about championship.
That's what I mean, bro. Oh. That's when I knew that was something wrong with the online fan base on Twitter. Sometimes like that. That's when I knew the mute button existed. You know what I mean? So
massive mute button, fam. They need ID. They need ID on that system, G. They need ID. Seriously.
I don't even know about ID, man. I just think if you do that, these tech companies that's just stealing your data. Like, you know what's mad? There'll be times here. I know Instagram's the worst for sure. Like my girl will say something or we'll be talking about something, and the next thing you know, she opens up Instagram, the ads, boom, straight there what we were talking about. It's mad.
It's not going to make a difference. They're already watching us already. Have all these cookies they're already watching.
Like imagine for a webcam, there's devices you buy to cover it, basically. You know what I mean? Which sums it all up. Which sums everything up, to be honest. So
for real.
Yeah,
guys,
man.
listen. I've had you on for over an hour. Appreciate Nini coming on, of course. If you want to subscribe to his channel, link in the description right now. Go click his channel. Go check out 3 videos that he uploaded today. Go subscribe, of course. Thanks for coming on, Nini. Appreciate it a lot. Ads, listen. Some people will ask for your channel. Let me tell you something. Like I've snapped this guy out for 7 years, my friends. He's not leaving anytime soon. I'll give him a kepa deal. You know what I mean? He can't leave, bro. You know what I mean? So, boy, you're stuck. But guys, honestly, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it a lot. Like I said to the fans, of course, every single day there's a stream on this channel. So if you can tune in around 7:30, 7:45 every single day, please do tune in. Like the video, subscribe if you're new here, hit the notification, and we'll see you guys soon, man. Peace. Hopefully Tottenham get the win. Not Chelsea, obviously. Come on, Chelsea.